Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon in some states. I just wanted to talk to you today in our live today about dealing with complicated and challenging situations. I guess with 80% of Australia currently in lockdown, it's very easy to feel very challenged. But I wanted to have a bit of a bigger conversation, or a meta conversation, as I like to call it. Today is September 11, and many years ago, for those of us that were around on that terrible, terrible day, and we saw those repeated images of planes crashing into the Twin Towers in the US, I remember exactly where I was on that day at that particular time when it happened, and then watching that footage. For the people that lost some family members, some friends, and that, I send you my love and thoughts. One of the things I think it's so important on a day like today in my live is to cover what happens around challenges in your life, and also what happens with challenging people that you have to deal with constantly. One of the things that I noticed is that I thought that if I got smarter, read more books, did more courses, meditated more, journaled more, worked with some amazing teachers, I thought that one of the things that was going to happen was that my challenges were going to get easier. So one of the things I noticed is I would deal with a challenge, come through it, and then start to celebrate it and go, wow, I got through that challenge. How cool is that I actually got through it? And then another challenge would come. I also noticed, having two children, that one of them will be behaving beautifully, and then the other one will start playing up. Or I'll have a fantastic day at work, and then I'll come home, not everybody's grounded at home, and I go, oh my God, why is my life so difficult? Or things at home are great, and I end up having a really challenging day. And one of the questions that I've been asking is, what is with this thing with challenges for a long time? So I've been asking those questions of some amazing global thought leaders, some spiritual teachers, what is happening? And I've worked out for me that there's probably certain things happening around challenges. It seems to be that when I get through one challenge, then it's almost like I get introduced to the next challenge. And that next challenge then says, well, you've worked through the last one. Here's now another one that you need to work through. So isn't it interesting that when we go through challenges, we think that will mean less challenges. But as we go through challenges, in fact, we invite the next challenge. One of the teachers that I've had an opportunity to work with talks about that as you evolve as a human, as you learn more skills, as you resolve more challenges, what the universe, as him and I call it, but also for some people, God or philosophies, but I'm then ready for my next challenge. And then the challenges just keep coming in. So the fact that if you're facing bigger challenges in your life, it could be that it's a sign that you're actually evolving rather than the other way around. I notice when I speak to people who have accumulated a lot of wealth, one of the things that they'll say is, well, as I've got more wealthier, my life hasn't become easier. I've needed more people around me to help me manage that money. I've had more people that have been jealous of me. I've had family members or friends that have tried to loot some of that money from me. So with having more wealth has come with more challenges. And the same thing happens in all different aspects of your life, whether it's in money, whether it's in your family, whether it certainly is in your career or your business and your work, absolutely around your friends. When you think that you've got through one lot of challenge, yet another one comes your way. So one of the things I want you to remember is that if this is happening and you're finding that the challenges coming your way are bigger and bigger, perhaps you're evolving more. And that's not to, paintbrush it or make it sound all golden. It really is. A lot of the global thought leaders and spiritual teachers are talking about the fact that people that deal with bigger challenges are more evolved and they are ready to face that next challenge. One of the questions I remember asking one of my spiritual teachers, and I said to him, well, what about people that are in wheelchairs? Why is it that the universe has given them such a hard life? And I know I'm going to just step into a little bit of woo-woo here, But one of the things, the conversations that I had really was an aha light bulb moment for me. And one of the things he spoke about with me was the fact that maybe the people that have got very difficult lives than you, Shivani, maybe if they're homeless, perhaps if they have lost a lot of money, perhaps they've lost their health, perhaps they've lost their family, perhaps they've lost a loved one. One of the things that might be is that perhaps they're actually a lot more evolved than you are. And that rather than feeling pity for them or feeling sorry for them, maybe you actually need to honour them and realise that they're so much more evolved than you are. That was a real aha moment for me. The fact that when challenges come your way, one of the things to remember is to look at what's coming at you. And if you're resolving the same issue over and over again, maybe you are not actually evolving. Maybe you're evolving if newer and bigger challenges are coming your way. The other thing I wanted to talk about, and so spiritual teachers, thought leaders around this will talk about duality, that you can't have one without the other. You can't have night without the day. You can't have light without the dark. You can't have the yin without the yang. And that if you're dealing with the challenges, you can't always live in fantastic times. You have to also be open to the dark times that come as well. What about when it comes to challenging people? It's one of the most common questions that I get asked. Shivani, I do my best. I rock up. I'm a great mum. I'm a great leader. And then I rock up and this person just really doesn't like me. They put me down, or I get glances, or they put my ideas down, or they backstab me, or they bitch behind my back, whatever it may be. There might be a number of different things that they experience, whether it's in your workplace. And a lot of people experience that even with their close family members. They also experience that with their friends. So what does that actually mean when that happens, and how do I go about dealing with challenging people? So again, as I said, that my live today was going to be a little bit more woo-woo and talking about and looking at what the bigger meta conversation might be about that. One of the tips that I have for you today is to look at that particular person as a teacher. And I know you might not want to. You might say, God, I don't want to look at that person as a teacher. This person's annoying me. They are horrible to me. You might want to call them all sorts of names. And that's okay too. But what if they were actually a teacher here to help you deal with that challenge, and they were there to help you evolve? I notice for me, when I have the same person upsetting me over and over and over again, one of the things that really eases me, and I really get to look at things from a different glance and a different perspective, is by realizing that perhaps they are my biggest teacher. The people that are really easy to deal with, they're not teaching me a lot. I find it easier to hang around with them. I enjoy their company more. I enjoy that experience more. But growth doesn't always come from enjoyment. Growth doesn't always come from ease. Growth comes sometimes to transform. We have to sit in the fire, and we have to learn the lessons we do dealing with really, really tough people. So I'm not suggesting you're going to listen to that and go, great, Shivani, this person I've had an issue with for 14 years, for example, I'm now going to look at them as a teacher and go and thank them. But I'd love for you just to absorb what I'm saying a little bit and have a think about what that actually means. In the mastermind program that I'm running called Pac Woman, in fact, it was the first program that I ever designed. I started running my first workshop called Pac Woman when I first started in business 18 years ago, and it was a one-day program. It's now a 12-month live mentoring program with me. And probably the reason is I'm a child of the 80s, and I used to play Pac-Man, and I used to see Pac-Man eating the little pellets, and I used to think, goodness, women can do that. And so my first program was called Pac Woman. And one of the reasons I wanted to create a 12-month program was because transformation takes time. Transformation takes lots of deep conversations like this particular conversation, where we want to understand some of these challenging people at a deeper level. We want to understand them as teachers and not just label them as teachers, but we want to deep dive into the lessons we've learned, into what they trigger, in terms of what keeps coming up over and over again. I have some patterns that I've had for 3 decades that get triggered off by certain things. Does that mean I don't get triggered off? I still get triggered. I still get hurt. I still get upset. But what I've done over the years is I've developed better strategies. And in this live 12-month mastermind, I want to share some of these strategies with you. I want you, if you've had that issue for 2 years or 10 years or 30 years like me, I want you to have some strategies and tips where you can really work on them so it doesn't continue to trigger you for the rest of your life, and work out ways of being able to manage that. The other thing that I wanted to talk to you about with challenging people is that challenging people, it's really important to understand if you've done some sort of personality profiling, it comes in very easy to understand them. And that's not to judge them or label them. Some people go, yeah, but I don't want to be judged into 4 or 8 or 16 quadrants. So some of the profiles you may have come across are things like Myers-Briggs or the DISC profile. There's about 15 or 16 different types. One of the things I teach in the live 12-month mastermind, the Pac Women mastermind, is I teach the birds model. And one of the reasons I use that model is because it's so easy. It is so easy to remember. I can actually explain the model in about 10 to 15 minutes rather than have you fill out 200 questions. But more importantly, I believe in this program, it's the practical application of the program and of the model. So it's all good to do lots of theory, but what you want to do is actually start to apply it in terms of what you do. So that's one of the things that we'll be covering. Now, if some of you that are listening or going to be watching this recording that I'm doing live now, and you go, look, I haven't looked at any of the profiling, just have a look at the DISC profile. Have a look at a couple of online tools that you can do. If you get a bit stuck, my website is called Ask Shivani. Please feel free to send me an email. If you go to askshivani.com, go to the contact page, send me an email, and I'd be more than happy to point you in the right direction. I also have taken that model, which is a culmination of about 5 different books, and put it onto one page. I'm a big believer in that. Obviously, by me sending that to you, you might go, well, that's good, but if you want some references to books, please just shout out and ask me any questions around that so I can do that. So for me, combining the two things in terms of looking at things as a teacher, looking at people's profiles and personalities, what it's done is done a number of things. One of the things that it's done for me is that I've learned to try, and it's really hard, and that's why I'm saying try and not take it personally. The person that's got a certain personality profile is going to treat me and almost everybody the same way. But when I get hurt by somebody's challenging behaviors, I often think that it's me. I often think that it's me that they don't like, that they're not treating well, that they don't respect. And I make that whole story, that whole narrative in my mind about me. So it's really important to realize that. The other conversation, as I said, a bigger conversation, a deeper, a bit more woo-woo, a bit more of a meta, bigger conversation, is the fact that these really challenging people have come into your lives to teach you lessons. And so if you would like to find out more about the Mastermind program, it's only open for another 4 days. I only open the door 4 times a year. I've had the opportunity to mentor some extraordinary women across the globe over 18 years. And what I want to do over the next 12 months program is to share that wisdom with you and that insight with you so that I can help you get clarity in terms of where you're headed with your career, your business, your work, your confidence, and understanding your patterns and then keeping the ones that serve you and discarding perhaps the ones that don't. If you've got any questions, please remember my website's called askshivani.com. If you'd like to find out more about the Mastermind program, just go to askshivani.com. I'll also put the notes in the notes there when I post this live, and just go to the Mastermind tab. The best thing is, if you're interested in the program, is let's have a cup of chai and book in a 15-minute free appointment with me, which is on that page, and then let's have a conversation about your needs. I want to make sure that the program's right for you and vice versa. So let me know how I can support you in what some of the things that you're finding challenging. For those of you that are taking a moment today to mark remember to send love to and some light to the families that were torn apart by friendships that were torn apart on September 11 this day. It's always a day of reflection for me. And although we've seen lots of other violence and issues around the world, including some of the challenges we face right now in our world around COVID, it's so important to send love to the people that perhaps might be doing it really tough today. Have a fantastic Saturday. I look forward to seeing you live tomorrow.